In this video clip, we're going to look at PST number 8. It's going to be emerging from T-junctions, which generally follows on from approaching junctions. So as normal, as you go through your personal greeting at the beginning of the Part 3 test, you have to establish what the examiner's done before. The chances are that he's already done approaching junctions. He might have even done a couple of roundabouts. So the idea is you establish what he knows with regards to the MSM routine or the hazard drill, and try and relate that back to this particular lesson. So if he's done approaching junctions and he's done maybe a few roundabouts, he's actually already done half of this particular lesson, because the approach to a T-junction is the same as approaching a junction. It's only the way out that changes. So that's where you're trying to make that wee bit of a link. So we're going to give you a wee demonstration on how to do that by showing you how to do the brief for that particular lesson. Okay, so as normal, I'll play the part to the two people, the instructor and the candidate, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so hope you can see that okay. A little bit glary. Alright then, so yeah, we'll have a look at that and see how we go on. Right then, John, so we're going to do the brief for T-junctions now, okay? So you can see we've got a wee presenter here now. You said to me that you've already done approaching junctions and you've done a couple of roundabouts. Is that right? Yeah, I've already done that. Yeah, I've done that on the last couple of lessons. Right then, so, well, the approach to a T-junction is very, very similar with regards to the MSM routine. So are you familiar with that? Are you familiar with the hazard drill? Oh yeah, the MSM, yeah, I know about that. So what does MSM stand for? Oh, mirror signal manoeuvre. That's right. Yeah. And did you break down the manoeuvre bit? Oh yeah, I did. Position, slowing down, and looking. That's right. Yeah, PSL. So position, speed, and then look, and then you follow that on with LADA. Has that been mentioned to you? Oh, I don't think I know about LADA. I don't think I've heard of that. Well, LADA is what we're going to actually introduce today, which is look, assess, decide and act. Okay, so if you have a wee look at the diagram that we're showing you here, okay, so you can see that we've got the T-junction, okay, so imagine again we're shown down here and we're approaching the T-junction. So whether we're turning left or turning right, we're going to approach it in the same way as you would any other junction. So if you're turning left at approaching a junction, or turning left on a roundabout, what's the routine you would use? What would you do first? Oh, I'd check your mirrors. Exactly. Which ones? Well, it'll be middle and left. We're going left. What about going right? Middle and right. That's it. So again, same with the signal. You would signal left or right. And then position. Your position again is very much the same. If you're turning left, you're generally going to stay in the centre of the lane until you reach the point of turn, and then you'll follow the curve. If you're turning right, you're going to follow the centre line. Just like approaching a junction, you would move towards the centre line as much as it's safe to do so. So the approach to the T-junction is very, very similar. You've got your M, S and M, okay, up to about this point here, okay, and then as you approach the T-junction, you've got to then think about whether it's open or closed. Okay, so you've got the diagrams down here, open and closed. So what's the differences between these two junctions? Oh well, the one at the bottom there, that's got, is that trees that are there? Ah yeah, that's trees and like a wall or something. That could be houses, for instance, or a fence, or it could be anything. The idea is it's closed. You can't see clearly left and right. And the one at the top there, you can see clearly. You can see the zone of vision is much more open. So if you can clearly see that it's clear to go, then you might not have to do anything about it. You would just slow down to about a bicycle speed, like you would normally do at approach a junction around a bit, select second gear and start looking and assessing and deciding if that's safe to go, and if it is, you carry on. If it's closed, you would slow down to a slow walking pace. So if you think back to approaching the junction, if you were turning right and there was a car coming towards you, what would you do? I would have to stop and wait. Okay, yeah, you'd have to wait. You'd have to give way to that car coming towards you, and then what gear would you select? Well, I'd select first gear. Exactly. So it's very, very similar. Yeah, same situations. Yeah, if you have to slow down to make sure it's clear, then you're going to select a different gear. So a slow walking pace in first gear for a closed junction. Okay, so if you have a look ahead of us here, if you look up the road there, can you see the give way sign? Aye. So that's a T-junction up there. Yeah, so as we leave the car park here and go up the road, you're going to come to your first T-junction. So you can notice the give way sign, same as we have on the diagram there. Aye, I see that. Okay, so do you think that junction up there is open or closed? Oh, I'm not too sure from here actually. Well, if you notice, you can see clearly to the right hand side. Okay, there's nothing, no obstruction on the right side, but the building on the left goes right all the way up. So on the diagram you've got this big building coming right up there. Okay, so that would be a closed T-junction. So as we go up the road there, what gear are you going to use at the end? Oh, it'd be first gear. Exactly. And notice the parked cars. So you've got parked cars on the way up to the junction there. Oh, I see that. So as we get up there, we might not be able to get a very good position because of the parked cars. So that's something to bear in mind. You've also got a junction on your right hand side. Can you see that? The junction on the right hand side? Oh, I can, aye, yeah. So that means if you signalled before the first junction, what would that tell people you're doing? Well, I'm turning into the junction, exactly. So people might think you're going to turn in there. Okay, so even from here we can see that T-junction and we can start planning that T-junction before we even move the car, and that's what we call forward planning. So we're actually thinking about it before we even get there. Now I'm going to talk you through that junction and help you with it, but that's things to bear in mind. It's from here we can tell it's closed, we can tell that we have to maybe adjust our position a little bit because of the parked cars, and we know that we're going to use first gear in a slow walking pace and that we're not able to signal till we get past that other junction on the right hand side. Oh yeah. Actually, that's good. So that's something to bear in mind. So once we do get to the T-junction, we've got to assess that traffic, and that's where the looking and assessing and deciding comes in. You've got to look left and right to check the traffic. So just like walking across the road. When you walk across the road, how many ways do you look? Well, I look left and right. Exactly. And how many times do you look left and right? I don't know. I've never counted. Well, it depends how busy it is, really. Yeah, if you're on a busy street, you would look several times. If it's a quiet road, you might even just look once one way and once the other way. So it all depends on what's happening. So the idea is you're scanning and looking left and right. And again, if it's safe to walk across, you would then just do that as a pedestrian, wouldn't you? You're looking for the gaps in the traffic. So if you see a gap in the traffic, you're going to walk across. And if you can walk across, you can drive across. Okay, so that brings us down to the bottom diagram. You're looking for the gap in the traffic. So the idea is that when you see a gap in the traffic, you can take that gap. Now, if you're crossing the traffic, turning right, okay, if you can walk across from there to there, then it's safe to drive across. But cars coming from your left hand side, you need to be able to walk across and come back again, because you need to come out of the junction and also get sped up without impeding that following car. So that car that's coming behind you, you mustn't make him slow down, swerve or swear at you for pulling it in front of him. That's something to kind of think about. Okay, and you've also got the danger area. So if you go back up here, you've got the danger area here. Okay, so it's very important, again, you could get a car overtaking the parked car. So it's very important, again, you check and always look both ways to make sure it's safe, just in case there's someone on your side of the road. And there shouldn't be, but there might be, just for one reason or another. So you always have to make sure that you're looking before you actually come out of that junction. There's a few other ones that may be slightly different. So we've got our normal give way, so we stop if necessary. If it's unmarked, we treat it very much in the same way. We stop if necessary. If we've got a stop junction, you'll have the sign and a big solid white line across the road. That means you must stop. So regardless of the traffic, you must stop, check, and then move on again. And you may well get traffic lights as well, so a controlled T-junction. So have you come across any traffic lights before? I've came across a couple of them. Yeah, so you might get a controlled T-junction where the lights dictate whether you know, whether you go or not. So if it's green, we go. If it's safe, if it's red, then we stop and wait. So we can come across that if a bit more detail if we do come across it. And you've got other ones about creep and peep. So if your vision is really obscured and you can't see anything at all, you have to maybe creep forward a little bit to make sure it's safe. But you can look through car windows, for instance. Yeah, so you don't necessarily have to look round them, but you might be able to look through them. Okay, so the main thing to bear in mind is you're still using your hazard drill. Mirror, signal, position, speed, gear and look, and then you're assessing, deciding and acting. Okay, how does that sound to you? That's fine. Right then, let's go on a wee shot of that. So there you are, that gives you a wee bit of an example of how to deliver that brief. A little bit messy with my drawings, just because it's a bit of an awkward place, but you get the gist of it, and you're trying to link that into what he's already done. So at the Inverness Test Centre and many other test centres, you might get that T-junction that you can see in the car park. So if you can see the first T-junction from your parking space, bring that into the brief, so you're already giving them a heads up of what's coming next. Okay, thanks.